Hey, yo, it's Ty Farris, man. Bars over BS, Detroit. You know what I'm saying? You tuned in to the Renaissance Show. Let's get it.
All right, so you guys are now tuned in to the Renaissance Show. My name is Alex Kuchma, and I have here with me yet another very special guest. This time, the MC is from Detroit, Michigan, and he's been on a roll over the last few years, really. He's a member of the Walkers, which we had Wavy Da Ghawd on yesterday, if you're watching this when this came out. And we've had on Rim and Eddie Kaine on in the past as well. And if you followed what we've done for Breaking Wreckords, you would have also recognized people's like Rome Streetz that's kind of attached to that brand or that grouping or that collective. Most recently, he has a brand new project out called No Cosign Just Cocaine 4, part of the series of No Cosign Just Cocaine. And man, these albums are fantastic. This album, available on all streaming platforms, has production on there from the Standouts, Stu Bangas, among plenty of others. Please welcome to the show, Ty Farris. What's good?
Peace, man. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. What's up with it?
Oh, man, everything's good on my end here. I said this at the beginning of the call, but I can't thank you enough for taking your time out of your day to speak to me. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, no, let's get it. Yeah, most definitely, fam.
Man, so I've been a fan of yours for some time. I imagine I would have heard you on feature material prior, but I remember the first time I really ended up sitting down and listening to a full album of yours was last year when you ended up putting out Wired Different with Bozak Morris. I'm a Canadian dude myself. The show was hosted out of Toronto. I'm in Nova Scotia, and I study Canadian hip-hop. I'm enrolled in university as a history student, and my main area of focus is Canadian hip-hop history. And I'm writing a book on Canadian hip-hop, and I spoke to Bozak Morris for that project. And I try to stay up to date with what's going on in the Canadian scene. And seeing some of these Toronto artists like Bozak Morris or Future Wave or Finn start to kind of tap into what's going on in this new Renaissance movement was really, really kind of, I don't know, it was fascinating, but it just introduced me to so much more incredible and dope music. And I think Wired Different fit that mold, and I was so impressed by that release. I have it on vinyl. I have it on the wall here beside me. If you're watching the web series portion of this, you'll see that in the background. But Wired Different, I want to talk about, I guess, that relationship, because it's a little bit different than who you normally kind of fuck with, right? It's Toronto, so it's not even Detroit locally where you are, not a member of the Walkers. How did you end up getting kind of linked in with Bozak Morris and some of the Toronto scene? Because you've worked with some of these other artists as well that are coming out of Toronto over the last few years.
Yeah, me and Bozak, we linked up, I want to say 2000, oh my goodness, I want to say 2017. Okay. I forgot how I came across him. I can't remember the details on that, but you sent me a batch of beats, and like, if you got to do the look on it, he was the first song on No Cosign Just Cocaine 1. You know what I'm saying? Find a Way. So we started working back, I want to say 2017, 18. And so it gets around for me to do part 3, and he sent me a batch of beats, and I said, yo, man, I like 5 of these, 5 out of the 8, you know? So at that point, we was going to start doing the whole project in 2019. But it was just timing with us at that point. So I ended up using the 2 songs that I recorded, No Receipt, No Return, and some Ride Out the Jungle, something like that, on part 3. So those 2 songs would have originally been on Wired Different, because that's when we started, like, the process of putting the project together. And but then 2020, it came, full circle. We locked in, I believe, at the top of the year or middle of the year, and got it done fairly quickly, man. With that process, too, it was like one of the first projects where every song I recorded ended up being on the project, man. I think except for one we was going to use as a bonus track.
Wow. How often does that happen when you record an album? How often do you keep everything?
That's the first time. Like with the No Cosigns, I always record more and then mold it and then put the leftovers like as bonus tracks.
Yeah.
On deluxe editions for CDs or vinyls or cassettes, whatever the case may be. So that was the first one. Every song I wrote, I had an intention and knew it was going to be molded into what we came up with.
Wow, yeah, Bozak Morris is just one of those amazing producers, because he's been around in the Toronto scene for quite a while as a DJ, and he's well known and respected in the Toronto scene. But really, over the last few years, he's elevated his status far beyond being a quote unquote like Toronto producer, right? Like, he's tapped in with people like yourself. He did that Loose Cannons 7-inch with West Side Gun and Conway, and that shit was fantastic. And I think that ended up being a huge catalyst in his momentum. But now he's working with everyone, right? El Camino, the full album. He was my introduction to El Camino, and El Camino is one of my favorites in this new wave. But man, that dude is on a roll.
Yeah. And the thing that people don't know really about him is behind the scenes, he does a lot. Like, business wise, he helped me out, like, for like learn about vinyl, just design, all type of stuff that goes on in the background. When we did Wire Different, that's like the first project I've done with someone, and we built our own site. We did everything 100% ourselves. And, so I just want to commend him on his, his business etiquette, and he has a lot of knowledge on how to do things for his vinyl, clothing, everything, man. So shout out to Bozak Morris.
Yeah, man, he's really tapped in. Like, from the Big Ghost merch that ended up dropping recently, I know he was kind of integral in terms of that. And even the GGBR records and everything that they've put out, let it be the El Camino stuff, even the stuff that El Camino's released, like, I think Walk on Water and the Don't Eat the Fruit or something, whatever that album was. Yeah, those were released on GGBR, and they don't have production by Bozak Morris, but he was integral in putting those out on vinyl. And if we look at Wire Different, like, I'll bring this off of the wall here, but this shit here, this is gorgeous. Like, how often in this new scene do you end up getting, and I know you can't see this here, but you've seen the record, of course. How often do you end up getting in this scene full, like, liner notes and lyrics on the inner sleeve? Like, that never happens with this shit anymore. It's a nice, clean vinyl pressing. It sounds great, but it's the attention to the detail that is outstanding. Like, I think the attention to detail in this new wave is already something that I commend the new wave for, right? The OB strips, the color variants, but at the same time, something like the liner notes and the lyrics, that's just something that we don't really get. And it's so nice to see people really care about the packaging and how this shit ends up turning out. It means so much more to the people that actually put the money in and buy the product. That's
so when we started figuring out, because we didn't have a title at the beginning. I think we got like 4 or 5 songs in, and then we came up with the Wire Different. But we both like, we're businessmen, but we're very detailed about everything we do when it comes to merch. So when we got the artwork, my man Sean, he did the artwork, and we seen him like, this doesn't look like anything that's out there. Like, we didn't want to look like anything that was out there art wise. So you see the bright colors, like in the brain and all that stuff. It just came out really dope, man. We wanted to stand out. So on top of that, I was like, man, I want to give everybody the lyrics to the album. And it was his idea, like, let's put it on the inside sleeve. I was like, wow, that'd be crazy. So, I had to literally type out every lyric, you know what I'm saying? But it's important to do things like that sometime, man, because, people spend their hard-earned money on physical stuff where they can literally stream it, So why not? I gotta show them, go an extra mile and give you a little something extra to, so you feel like your money is appreciated from us, So that's always my goal with merch. I do booklets now on all my CDs. The booklets with the credits, or just something to give you more, feeling to be attached to the physical,
Yeah.
So, that's me and Bozak. We thrive on that, and the attention to detail is always important with us.
Man, I haven't bought another piece of wax from yourself, and I kind of regret that. I should buy more. I should go back and do my homework and pick up what I've missed out on. But you put out other pieces of wax as well, like even recently, like the ramen noodle shit as well. And I seen people, I seen the mock-ups anyway of that, and it looked gorgeous as well, right? Like again, you can tell that you're doing this shit right, and it's appreciated by fans. I don't have everything. I have very little. I have this record here, the Wired Different, but it's you can tell that you're doing this shit correctly. The new album again is No Cosign Just Cocaine 4. It obviously it comes from the last 3 installments of this series over the last couple of years. Talk about how that kind of album series is different than something that you ended up doing like Wired Different, for example, or even like Ramen Noodles.
So the cosign stuff, it started off with, so I can go back to part 1, No Cosign 1. Sure. Ramen Noodle Nights was literally, No Cosign Cocaine 1 was basically like the leftovers from Ramen Noodles. Ramen Noodle Nights came out in 2017.
Okay.
So, I mean, I started
just streaming and vinyl recently, is it? Or
Yeah. So it was just streaming in 2017. I didn't even know about vinyl like that until like 2018. So, you know, I just put it out, man. I put it out on a Jewel Case CD, and, you know, my fan base wasn't nothing like it is now. So, you know, I was like, yo, let me re-release Ramen Noodle Nights on vinyl now that I got enough people who will listen and buy. But, for the No Cosign, it started out, man, just me just rapping, man. Like, you know, I meet new producers. Like I said, I met Bozak, I met Stu Bangers, I met Dirty Diggs in 2018. And then I had a producer I was working with out of Australia called Jay Bansky. So I put that out, and I'm like, yo, people like this. And the format is, you know, me finding some hard beats and rapping as good as I can, you know. It's not really well thought. It's not like the attention to detail of the molding of an album like Wired Different. Wired Different, I'm making sure every song is conceptual. With this, is more of a free-for-all where I can just do a joint where I do 40 bars and talk some shit, or, you know, it's giving me opportunity to work with all these other producers that I want to work with. But for the most part, I'm always isolated working on one project with one producer. So this is like, yo, okay, now I'm free. Let me work with Apollo. Let me work with, you know, Black Milk or Stu Bangers and whoever, you know what I'm saying? So I make all these calls to these guys and they send me beats, and that's how it happens. So the process is fairly fast with the No Cosigns. The reason it took so long for part 4 to come out after 3 is because, again, I worked with Machacha. I did a whole project with him, and then me and Bozak did a whole project. So, you know, that's the process, man. Like, I just grab beats and rap on them, man, and try to make good songs and mold it together correctly, you know what I'm saying?
Has that process at all, has that kind of technique or that approach to these releases in terms of the No Cosign Just Cocaine series, has that changed at all over the installments? Because I look at something like number 4 that just ended up getting out, and again, if you're watching this on the web series, and we say this all the time, but if this is the first time you've tuned into the show, if you're watching this on on YouTube, essentially, take the time, pause this video, listen to No Cosign Just Cocaine 4, and then return to this conversation. If you're listening to this on the radio, you're gonna hear select songs from the album being played, so you're good. But if not, go and take the time out and listen to the record and then come back here. But if you listen to a record like this last installment, it seems, of course, in terms of the producers and the one MC one producer thing, that's definitely obviously the same, right? We're working with a wide variety of producers, and it's different than the other albums that you would end up putting out. That said, it does look like there is a little bit more attention paid to things like theme. Even something like Stu Bangers, right? You go from one album to the next, to the next, to the next within this series, but you make sure you have a little Stu Bangers beat in there. The album as a whole, I think this album, it flows very well, and I'm holding up the wrong album, but the new album, the fourth installment, it flows very well. It feels cohesive. These songs feel polished, right? Something like the Sicilian Defense, which is my favorite track off the record. I'm a chess fan myself. I love the game of chess, and that was a really special moment on the album for me. Not that the whole theme of the track is chess, but it's a really, really solid song, and those little kind of nodes to the game are thrown in and pretty evident. But these songs are so much more polished, right? We talk about, like if you just want to rap for 40 bars and if you just kind of want to do your own thing, and maybe songs that are a little bit less structured. But when you listen to this album, this fourth installment, it feels like there's a lot more care given to the product as a whole, right? Not just individual songs. Has your process in crafting this, or your approach in crafting this, changed at all from installment to installment?
No, I don't want to say change. I got to find a better word. I want to say it matured.
Matured. Yeah,
it matured because each series I end up working with, certain artists, or I would say even bigger artists and producers. And I don't want to just get the beat and just, for the most part, just rap. Like, so
sure.
Some of the producers I work with, I'm like, I got to make a good song because, I'm not sure if I'm going to work with the guy again or however it's going to work. So whenever I go into it with that mindset, I'm like, I got to make sure I make a song that can stand the test of time with these guys. And, that was the mind frame on that. But to bring back that Stu Bangers joint, is funny about that. That's the last song I recorded for the project. And I hit Stu Bangers up. I remember it was like, October 23rd. And I was like, yo, man, I don't got you on the project. You've been on every No Cosign. I got to have you on the project. So I was asleep. I jumped up out of the bed and I'm like, start going through the beats because I wasn't finding nothing that was meshing, and I hit that one. I'm like, I'm about to record that. It's open. But there was two other ones that I wanted, but they was taken already. So I knocked it out I wrote it and recorded it within an hour. If you can see, it's 2 minutes long, but it's two verses. But the BPM on it is 92. So I was like, this is kind of cool. Everything feels a little slower, like 92 BPM. That the beat is moving fast. So that's a little background on that Stu Bangers joint. But for the most part, I try to make sure I put hooks on them, and I'm very big on song making, songwriting. Even it's something, you got to give something to break the monotony of just raps. So I want to put a hook on it, and it was titled something different before it was called the Sicilian Defense. But when I was like, man, that's dope, man. It hit home with the people who play chess. So I named it the Sicilian Defense.
Man, it's a beautiful song. Again, coming from a chess background, obviously that aspect of the song ends up resonating with me. The little Bobby Fischer kind of intro to it, obviously the title of the song, the hook, the way you end up starting the song off as well. It has those little kind of nodes thrown in, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that the song itself is one of my favorites off the record, right? For just aesthetically, musically, it's one of the best songs that I think I've heard from you, and it comes off of this album that I don't want to call it is like throwaways, but it's the different shit, right? It's the free for all. It's it's kind of the pool of material that you have that you can kind of throw together and say, hey, here's new material if you're waiting on me. And it happens to be, like I said, one of my favorite songs of your career, at least from what I've heard. I love that song. Absolutely love it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. Came out pretty good, man. I was happy with it.
Man, me too. There's a lot of things that I want to end up talking to you about, but I had Wavy Da Ghawd on yesterday, and I had Rim on maybe 3 weeks ago, and when I was speaking to Rim, he had illuminated me on what the Walkers was. Now, I had spoken to Eddie Kaine back in 2019. I spoke to Streetz back in 2019 as well, and maybe the Walkers was mentioned at that kind of early infancy stages, but you guys have all collectively grown so much independently of one another, and have had your names kind of solidified in this underground wave, this new scene that we're in. And to think that all you guys are friends and know each other, it's still crazy for me to think that everyone in this scene is so connected in that sort of way. But here are guys that you're from Detroit. We have like Eddie Kaine from Brooklyn. We have all these cats that are coming from different areas, and you guys fuck with each other on such a real way. You guys are friends. And furthermore, you guys have this collective that we haven't got a Walker's Project, right? We have that one song, but you guys are something. And I think more people need to know that, especially when people like roam Streetz are just on the up and up and up and up. And you see him getting signed to Griselda and the name that someone like Rome Streetz brings. I don't think a lot of people know that he's part of a group. And you're also a part of that. Talk about how the Walkers ended up starting, because now I've had these conversations with two. I spoke to Eddie Kaine for this podcast as well, but we didn't touch on the Walkers at all. But now I've had this conversation with Wavy and with Rim, and I don't think we ever touched on the origin of the group. But how did you guys even come to be? Because it's such a weird collective and mix of artists.
Yeah, I believe it was like 2017 or 18. Trying to remember. It started off with Bub Rock and with Rim. My good friend Pallavi introduced me to Bub Rock music, and then me and Bub Rock became cool. And
he's dope
Bub
too.
Rock
I didn't know he was a part of it.
Oh yeah, he's the, I want to say he was the main catalyst for him and Rim.
Gotcha.
But Bub Rock hit me up and said, "Yo, man, I'm doing this collective, man. We're going to call it the Walkers." And I'm like, okay. He's like, "Man, yeah, I think you should be down." I was skeptical at first because it was all New York guys. You know, I'm from Detroit, and I didn't know how that would work. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
At that point, I didn't know nobody besides, like, let's see, I didn't know Rome at that point or Wavy. I just knew Bub and Rim.
Did you know of them in terms of Wavy and in Rome? Like, had you heard any of their music? Because they were kind of under the radar at that point.
No, I'm trying to remember how I came across Rome music. It's all happened like in a wave of things. Once I got hit, I know how I seen Bub is through my boy Pallavi. I seen Eddie and Rim video on Facebook, and I said, "Yo, them dudes nice. I like it." Come to find out that Bub and you know, they all knew each other. So like Bub Rock approached me about it. I was skeptical because of the you know, I'm just like, I'm in Detroit, man. You know, I'd have been in groups and stuff like I'm not doing that at this point in my career.
Sure.
He just like, "No, man, it's like, you know, we're we just collective, man. We all, you know, we rock together. You know, that's the best word for it, a collective." So I ended up meeting Rome and Wavy. I fly out to New York and go straight to Wavy house, and that's when it really started, man. Everybody was there: me, Wavy, Eddie, Rim, Bub Rock, Rome, and Planet Asia was there with us too. And so that's like our first time hanging out, and we all went to the studio, and I think two of them joints is actually on Wavy Project. This is in 2018, let's be clear. It's 2018. We've been rocking since like early 2018. So I got to go with Bub and Rim. They're the ones who, like, you know, hit me up about it, and I was like, man, I checked. I did my checking, you know, like my background check. Like, yo, let me see how good these guys can rap. Like, oh no, they nice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, yeah. So I was like, but it could be. It's a different thing too. Like, they're nice, but I feel the music. Like, I feel the authenticity. You know, a lot of people can rap good, but I'm attracted to the authenticity, man. I got to feel like what you're saying is real, or you lived it, or seen it some form of fashion. Not just rapping. I feel like you got to be talking with like experience. So you know, I did my check-in and everything, and come to find out these guys are the guys, you know, that actually make things move in New York and stuff like that. So, and I think we all knew that the trajectory of all of us would end up doing what it's doing now. And it still hasn't even got to where, like, you see the rise of Rome Streetz. We all felt Rome Streetz going where he's going to go. We seen it before everybody else seen it. You know what I'm saying? We all knew about Eddie and Rim and the way Wavy moving. All this was already, like, the foresight of this was already from 2018 and 19. So, you know, that's how I ended up becoming with the Walkers, man. And my brothers, you know, it's music. We do music, but we really friends, you know, like that's the most important part. Like, we don't got to do music. We don't even have to do music, but we solid, you know. We talk almost every day. So that's how that started, bro.
Man, you talk about being from Detroit and being separated from that scene that's going on in New York. And I find this shit fascinating because Detroit really had a resurgence around like 2010 or so, right? We talk about like Clouds from Apollo Brown comes out 2011 maybe. And then after that, we have, before Ugly Heroes, we had The Left with Gas Mask and Journalist 103 and all those cats. And we just start getting bombarded with people like Guilty Simpson and Black Milk and this Detroit scene that really starts to take over, and Mellow Music Group, and this emphasis on Detroit. And that seems to be the focus, right? So I'm doing journalism, I'm interviewing cats around that period of time, I'm doing reviews, and it seems like all the attention among like diehard hip hop fans that are checking out the music and buying the CDs, it seems like the attention is pointed towards Detroit again, which really hadn't been the case maybe ever. You had select artists, of course. You had like Eminem or Obi Trice that would end up coming out of the city, but you weren't seeing the scene really pointed towards the region until that period of time. And then since then, you started really 2014, 2015, 2016, we start to see this transition, right? It goes from that kind of era to what we're seeing now out of upstate New York and Griselda and Trust and all these cats that are coming out. And there's characters that transition both of those scenes. So you have people like Rock Marciano and Planet Asia. These people have really identified with both movements in a pretty legitimate and sincere way. But it feels like some of the attention has gone off of Detroit. But at the same time, the people that are in Detroit that were responsible for that scene popping off 10 years ago, they're still making music, right? Apollo Brown just ended up putting out a new album this Friday, and it's fantastic. All these cats are still putting in work and doing shit in an incredible way. But here you are in Detroit that seems to be of this newer generation. So you don't have a whole lot of material, at least that I know of, that really stems from that 2010 to 2013 kind of era. And you are in Detroit working alongside people like Black Milk and whatnot, and working with a lot of those cats on individual songs. But I think the community by and large doesn't recognize you as in that scene. Rather, they associate you with what's going on in upstate New York and this new kind of Renaissance movement that we're in. And I find it really fascinating because you're this character that's just geographically separated from what's going on, but you identify so heavily with it. Talk about this kind of idea from your perspective and how you end up seeing things. I know that's a broad question, but you get the idea, right?
No. I get it, man. So let's be clear. I've been here. I've been around doing music. So when Black Milk and Random Max and Guilty and everybody was doing their thing, I was there.
Rest in peace, Sean Price.
Yeah. So that was actually let's go with that as the first olive branch to Detroit, New York. You know what I'm saying? With Hex Murder, he put that together. And then you got to look at what Black did. He ended up going and doing some stuff on the West Coast with Bishop Lamont.
Yes.
But I was here, man. I was here doing music. I mean, I worked with Black Milk. Black Milk was one of the first producers I worked with. We toured together back in 2005. We was opening acts on D12 World Tour with Slum Village. Black has been my friend a long time.
Wow.
We got songs that, me and Black is like good friends. But when he started bubbling, doing his music, I was doing music, but I was like kind of still knucklehead. But the sound of music I was doing was more trying to chase. I was like, I won't say chase. I was like trying to get like a deal with Aftermath. So I was making songs like that, man. I was trying to write for Dre, because I was signed with Big Proof. That's how I started. I was signed with Big Proof. So we was making songs along the lines of like what Obi Trice would do,
Well, that
You
was the
know,
shit back then. That's what I was on too, and I'm in Canada. But when I'm going
yeah,
back and forth to school on the bus, that's what I'm listening to. Right? Cheers was
yeah,
incredible. Right? The early G Unit
yeah,
material.
classic.
Like that
Yeah.
was
So yeah,
that.
them the type of songs I was trying to make. Like, yeah, no, I was gonna say them the type of songs I was trying to make. Like songs like with G Unit and 50 Cent. So it was still street, but it was a broader sound. Because at that point,
Sure.
I still wanted a record deal. You know, I wanted to be on the record label because I thought that was the answer to making it. But when Black and then later on with Apollo they started popping off, I'm like, yo, that music is dope, man. I wasn't into it at that point, like the sound of it. I was not the sound. I wasn't into that. I always felt like my music was different than everybody else's outside of Guilty because my music has always been more street opposed to like hip hop. Like I don't want to call it backpackers, but
Sure.
it was just a different type of vibe,
You said outside of Guilty. Did you kind of identify with Guilty's music in that way?
Oh yeah. Guilty been that guy, man. I met Guilty back, I want to say '04, '02, '03 actually. He was the first person to tell me I never forget it. Guilty, I did a show and he's the first person to tell me I was a dope rapper. The first person ever to tell me that. I never forget that, man. But the way Guilty was moving, I was like, yo, man, that's what I like. Like, that's what he's doing. Like, his shit is aggressive. No cookie cutter. It's just raw. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But I wanted to do it with that same messaging, but I wanted to do it on different type of beats where I could land on a G Unit or, I was really trying to be like a Lloyd Banks, Joe Buttons type artist. You know what I'm saying? That's what my mindset was at with it.
Sure.
So when Black and them started bubbling, I was like, yo, that's dope because I know all the work that Black Milk put in. I wasn't hip to Apollo Brown. I wasn't hip to the projects, the left, and none of that. I wasn't even hip to it at that moment when it came out. I didn't get hip to Apollo till like 2014. But Black Milk, man, Black Milk been here. He solidified his sound, his drums has been exactly what they are right now. But they evolve. He's got better and better. I got a beat tape from him from '02, still right now. Pull it up. And you can hear it. You can hear the future. You can hear the future. Like that the song that's on my project, you can hear where it come from '02. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, these drums. I don't know. I can't even pinpoint it. I don't know who got harder drums than Black Milk. His drums is incredible. So yeah, man, I've been here when they started bubbling. I've been here. I was just trying to do something different sonically.
Man, that's crazy. I had no idea that your lineage in this went back that far. Man, the Detroit scene is crazy, and it has this incredibly complex history that I don't think enough people really understand the magnitude of it. But I've had people on the show from Detroit, people like Big Tone, or I believe formerly he went by Hodgepodge. And like hearing him break down stories about going to like the hip hop shop and hanging out with like House Shoes and just this before we become aware of the hip hop shop in St. Andrews, right? Like before Eminem, but hanging around in the 90s and seeing these places and just being involved in the community as a local rap community, right? And watching these artists kind of build and grow and develop their own craft and going to local radio and it really is this local scene, right? And I talk to people in Buffalo and they say that that's kind of the scene that Buffalo had for a long time as well. And it takes a few artists to really escape that in order for people on the outside to start paying attention and realize that shit is going on. I had no idea that even like Guilty Simpson, for example, was making music at that time. Like I think I became aware of Guilty Simpson before Dice Game, for sure before Dice Game. And I want to say that was in 2012. But Yeah, maybe it wasn't too long before Dice Game. It definitely wasn't. Like this scene is definitely was somewhat new to me at that period of time. I was into Eminem. I was into your G Unit and OB and everything that Shady Records was putting out. That music just resonated and spoke to me in a really, really meaningful way. It was like coping mechanism when I was a kid. Like it was the coping mechanism. I didn't have no therapist or counselor or anything like that. I used my music, my CDs, right? That was everything to me at that period of time, and it was those artists specifically that were speaking to me in that way. I had no idea that your history went back this far. Were you going by Ty Farris at that period of time?
No, I was going by T Flame at that point. I started off as a battle rapper.
T Flame.
You know, I started battle. I was a battle rapper. My name T Flame came from because my boys was calling me. We was fans of the Hot Boys. And I used to steal cars, and like, yo, that's T Flame. Like, it was called because I was a hot boy because I was breaking and stealing cars. So from there, I started. My best friends get locked up. I'm out here by myself. I started rapping, and I met my man Famous, and we started rapping together. And then we started battling, and that's how I met Proof. Ended up signing with Big Proof, and then that's how my whole thing opened up. Was signing with Big Proof in '02.
So you signed with Proof. What does that mean at that period of time? Because I wasn't even really aware that Proof had his own imprint or label. Like I know he put out a couple projects that aren't on Iron Fist. That actually kind of rings a bell. Because it was it Dirty Harry or something? Was that album put out through there? Am I remembering correctly?
He put out. It's crazy because now that I think about it, he was the first person I've seen like put out vinyl. He did a electric acid test on vinyl, and there's a few others.
Oh shit! And there was that Jerry Garcia album as well, right?
Yeah, I'm on that album.
You're on that album, the Jerry Garcia album?
Yeah,
Blue cover.
I was in the group called the Purple Gang, so I was a part of the Purple Gang.
Wow.
So the name of the song, I believe, is called Purple Gang on the album, and actually, Black Milk produced that.
Fuck, man.
I'm almost certain of it. Yeah. So Black Milk produced the first song I was on with Proof, you know.
Man, and look where you're at now. This is a beautiful kind of evolution, because at this point you're being respected outside of any name like Proof, right? You're being respected on your own. And I know we spent a considerable amount of this conversation talking about people like the Walkers, for example, and people that you're close to, but people know you as Ty Farris, right? You don't need another name beside you in order for people to respect you as of now. You've commanded that respect on the mic.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because once Proof got killed, you know, it was like starting over again. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, man, this T Flame name, it's it's a street name. I don't know how that transitions as an artist. It's like, yo, I need the music I want to make. I want it to resonate with people, so I'm gonna just give them my real name. And that, and that might have been the way I sing because of Obi, real name, no gimmicks. I'm like, yo, man, my stuff, my shit is real. I want the people to know that it's me. And more importantly, come from a poor family, man. And I just wanted to, if I was going to be successful, I wanted my last name to be seen. So the people in my family coming after me could feel proud of our last name, because most of my family was on drugs and stuff like that. So I'm like, yo, man, the next people who come after me, last name Farris, I want them to be like, yo, I want them to say it with confidence. I'm a Farris. Before me, it's like, no, I don't want to be associated. There's a family full of dope fiends and thieves. So that was the process, man. With that, at the P-Pass, I changed my name, and then I just worked on my craft, man. I've recorded probably thousands of songs, 1,000 easy. I've been putting out mixtapes. I put out 20 projects myself. Before
that's mental.
I started
no idea at all.
Yeah, before like 2000, I want to say 2012 is when I started taking the approach of making the album. So my first album, I paid for all the beats and everything, called Rider Music. So that was like my first shot at it. I did a project right before that called Champion Hoodies and Hennessy, where I had Guilty and Trick Trick on the song. And I was just basically taking people beats, man. So I took Evidence beats, Alchemist beats. That's when I started transitioning into focusing on the level of rapping and the sound. It's like 2011, 2010 era is when I started, like, yo, I'm going to start rapping on these sounding beats, like more soulful samples.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's crazy. It took 11 years for this, my mindset here in Detroit, because like you say, around that time, Black Milk and Guilty, they're popping. You know, Apollo Brown is starting. I didn't have no line on Apollo Brown. I knew Black, you know, we just never worked at that point. You know, he was being managed by our friend Hex Murder, and it just never happened. You know, it wasn't like it just didn't happen. You know, that's how it be sometimes.
Sure.
But, 2012, man, 2012, 11, I started focusing on the sound, and I just I write so many raps, man, and just trying to keep getting sharper and sharper. I study Elzai, I study Royce, and that was it, man. You know, the phrase is 10,000 hours, man. I done put in 20,000. You feel me?
Man, I'm so glad that you've taken this approach and that you've went this direction with it, right? Because you could have went any direction, and this direction brought me to you. So at this point now, I'm a fan. But I think the music, I haven't listened to a lot of this older music, but I think there's something special about the music that you're making now. And if I make a guess, I'd say that this music is probably where you're supposed to be. It feels that way at the very least. Man, I love this music. I honestly do. And it's stuff that I talk about this all the time, and I don't just want to sit here and dick ride you, but I think the music is truly special. And like, I invite people over, I play music for them, and there's a sort of excitement when we listen to new music at this point. And when we throw on a record from yourself, for example, and I'm so excited on Friday to go and download an album and listen to it or stream it, and the excitement is always fulfilled. It's not, I never get disappointed anymore, like ever. Like the only times I ever get disappointed is when it's an artist from my childhood that's going and putting out music. But if it's an artist that's coming out of this wave, there's just this reliability factor that it's going to be dope. And it's more than dope. It speaks to me. Like, and again, I've had this conversation before in other episodes, but when I was a kid, I'm in high school and I'm going back and forth. I'm walking to school, walking home, walking to school, and I'm listening to Mobb Deep's The Infamous. And I listen to this nonstop for months on end on my walks, and it resonates with me. Every word that Prodigy and Havoc end up saying, the beats are dusty. Everything about it just resonates with my inner being, right? I'm not from that walk of life, but that album put me there. And I felt every word that they said, and it felt so hard. I'm this white dude that's walking back and forth to school in grade 9. I don't know how old you are in grade 9, 13 years old, 14 years old, something like that. And
14.
Yeah, I feel like I can fuck up anybody that comes my way when I have this shit on in my headphones, right? Like, there's something about it. And I get so excited. And then when I realize that Hell on Earth exists and there's another Mobb Deep album that I can listen to, and I listen to that and I get so fucking stoked that I'm about to hear more Mobb Deep, and I throw it on and it doesn't disappoint. It's more of that same material, but it's different. It's a little bit stylistically different to make it fresh and exciting. And then Murder Music, same thing, right? These were my experiences as a kid that made me fall in love with hip hop. And this music, when you put out No Cosign Just Cocaine 4, I understand labels like classic and whatnot should not be applied to new music, and I understand the reasons why, but at the same time, I have to admit that the energy and the excitement that I get is the same excitement and energy that I got when I was a kid, and I found out that Hell on Earth existed, and I could go and I could listen to a new Mobb Deep album. This shit is just as dope, and it gives me just the same amount of excitement when Friday comes and I can listen to this new music, and it's every single Friday. It's artists from yourself, it's artists like Eddie Kaine and Rome Streetz and everyone that we've talked about in this interview. The the music that you guys are making is absolutely incredible, and I'm so glad that it seems like hip hop is starting, as hip hop as a culture, and the fans of hip hop are starting to pay attention and recognize the greatness that we're in. I hear terms all the time like this new wave or the Renaissance. That's why I named the show the Renaissance, because I had heard it from other artists. People were using these terms in order to describe the era that we're in right now, because we're starting to recognize what we have. This shit is beautiful. Again, anyone going and listening to this, take the time out, listen to Ty Farris, listen to his back catalog, but listen to the No Cosign Just Cocaine series, listen to something like Ramen Noodle Nights, listen to Wired Different with Bozak Morris, listen to these projects, and come back and tell me that you're not a fan. This music is fucking incredible.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. I do. I really do. It took a long time to even get to the point where somebody wanted to interview me, man. So I'm humble, and I'm just appreciative, man. I'm very appreciative.
100%. I appreciate you just for creating the art, and this music is lifetime music, right? Sure, we're caught in the middle of it right now, and we're going through the cycles of release days, and in a week from now, this album is going to get shifted a little bit down the road, and 2 weeks from now, it will be shifted a little bit more, and a little bit more the week after that, and that's the cycle that we're in. And that's going to be the same for the next 3, 4, 5 years until we're out of this wave. But in 20, 30, 40 years, we're going to look back and say, holy shit, I'm so glad that they put out so much fucking music, because now I have a lifetime worth of music to go back to and listen to. This is the era that we're living in now, where people are going back and they're checking out labels like Chopped Herring Records, and these labels that are putting out old music from the 90s and digging up these obscure gems, and people are just loving this shit because they get to hear more music from what they were a fan of. And in 20, 30 years, I think we're going to be looking back at this moment that we're in right now with the same sort of excitement as we're looking for old, dusty New York hip-hop from 1994 that we do today, right? There's something special about this shit, and this album is incredible. Everything that you've done that I've heard has been incredible. I guess to move on a little bit here, but what are you currently working on? So you put out this album, you say that this series as a whole is a little bit more filler material. Maybe we can put that label on, not taking away anything from the quality statement of it, but it's maybe a little bit less focused on your end. Where are we focusing now then, if that's the case?
Man, I actually got a whole nother album done, man. I've been working on like 2-3 years with a producer called Seb Bash. He's from here, but he lives in Switzerland. So I got an album done, man. I was gonna put that out before I put this out, but it's just been hectic trying to get through the logistics of the album for mixing and artwork, and like we're very meticulous about the presentation of this music. So I got that. That's what I got next, man. And depending on how much longer I'm gonna do part 5 in the series, No Cosign Just Cocaine 5, and that'll be it. Put a nice little button on that, and just keep recording, man. I'm probably do something else along the lines of another series, because I think people really enjoy the Cocaine series. I'm gonna do something along the lines of that again, where it's just fun, man, because I just go, I get some beats and rap, and I package it up nice, and I'm really into the merchandising aspect as well. I like when you see the merch for No Cosign 4, you're gonna be like, wow, this is crazy. I got some crazy merch coming. So that's it, man. The album, I can't disclose the album name, but we got the album title. Me and Seb Bash should be at the top of the year. Me and Bozak spoke. We might go back in, but we ain't gonna do Wire Different 2. We're gonna do something else different. And then I might, I just don't like spreading myself thin either. Like, when I work on something, I want to be fully devoted to it. So it just depends on what approaches me. But I got another album ready to go. We've recorded. Now that's the album I recorded at least 25 songs, and we only using 9.
Man, I'm so excited for any future material that you end up putting your name on. I'm excited for solo material. I'm excited for any collaboration projects with Seb Bash or with Bozak. I'm excited for the possibility maybe of a Wreckords album down the line. Everyone in that crew is fantastic, and knowing that Bub Rock is also a part of this at this point is bringing even more excitement.
Rock is the catalyst. Him and Rim, man. I'm pretty sure they answered it the same way when you talk about the Wreckords album. Obviously, we all down to do it. It's just all about timing, man, and getting everybody in the studio. Whenever we decide to do it, I'm gonna fly out there and stay out there for a couple of days. You got to remember we got Spoda too. Spoda, I think, is from Long Island, so Spoda, he got to come down to the city. I got to fly out there. Rock got to fly out there. So it's just all about timing, because I don't think it'll do us justice to just send in verses like email. I think we gotta capture that
energy
moment, that energy in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Like when we did, we knocked out, like I say, like 2 of the joints is on Wavy Project, I believe. We went to the studio, book time, all of us who like this beat, boom, 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 and we knocked out 3 joints within a few hours. So that's how easy it can be. We got Wavy on deck. We got Artivist. We got the Standouts, like them, like the sound that we use, for the most part, and a few others. And it wouldn't take that much to get it done. It's just about time, and everybody got things going. Rome is on the go with Griselda. Eddie just got done with the Ghost thing. He got some more stuff coming. Rim, Bub, Spoda, everybody just moving. So it's just about the timing. Like, let's set aside some time in April of next year, 2 weeks, and let's knock out a project. It's really that simple,
Man, I'm excited if it ever does end up coming to fruition. And I had this conversation with Wavy, but honestly, and you said a couple songs that were recorded as the Wreckords ended up coming on to that God's Eden project, the Wavy album that just came out.
Yeah.
But when I listened to that Wavy album, honestly, and I said this to Wavy yesterday, but that shit sounds like an album from the Wreckords, right? When I had the conversation with Rim, it got me stoked that there was going to be a possibility of the Wreckords album. And when I heard the Wavy album, it was like, oh shit, this is what it's going to sound like. This is exactly my cup of tea. Yeah. Now, of course, you don't have other producers on there like Artivist or the Standouts, but at the same time, Eddie Kaine's on there a bunch of times. You're on there. You have all these cats that are on the album. Rome is on there 3 or 4 different times. You got that. You got that vibe. You got that essence. Yeah. For the most part, I think we can all agree that Wavy is the foundation sound of the Wreckords. If I believe I can say that without getting no backlash. Wavy is the sound, man. You got to think him and Rome worked heavy together. Yep. Him and Eddie did a whole project together, and it's so crazy that this is the first time. I mean, I've recorded tons of stuff with Wavy, but this is the first time I put him on my project, so he on the track too. So, it's just, he's the sound, man. And it's, like I say, man, it's just got a timing. It's like, let's go find the 2 weeks or a week, rent an Airbnb, set up a studio, and let's cook it out. You know what I'm saying? Man, 100%. Once again, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to speak to me. This has been a blast of a conversation. I'd love to have you back on in the future as well whenever new material does end up surfacing. Let it be the new album with Seb Bash if you do end up putting out that No Cosign Just Cocaine 5, the album with Bozak Morris. Whatever it ends up being, I'm a fan. I'm tuned into what you're currently doing as an artist, and I'd love to have you back on whenever a new project does end up coming out.
Man, say less, man. I'm there. You let me know. Just let me know. You'll see the music when it come out, man. Just hit me up. I definitely take out some time to chop it up with you.
Sounds good. Where can people find you? Where can people stay up to date with current music?
BarsOverBS.com. BarsOverBullshit.com. Let me make sure that the other one is still good. But BarsOverBS.com is where everything at. All the streaming, all my merchandise, CDs, cassettes, vinyls, hoodies, hats. All that is right there. Bars Over BS is the hub. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing. Again, for those listening at home, take the time, do your homework, listen to Ty Farris. That's who's on the line right now. Ty Farris, Ty space Farris. go do your homework, listen to the shit on streaming platforms. The new album, No Cosign Just Cocaine 4, is out as of now. Man, thank you once again. You have yourself a wonderful night.
Hey, yo, it's Ty Farris, man. Bars Over BS, Detroit. You know what I'm saying? You tuned in to the Renaissance Show. Let's get it.